Get started. All right.
Let's start again. So thanks a lot for coming today. That's our last talk of Q&A this term. There's been a lot of good talks that I've been so far. And I'm really happy to have Jinsun today to speak on sustainability and batteries. And yeah, just to have a little introduction prepared.
Yes, I'll just read a bit of an introduction for Jinsun, and then he can take it away with his talk. That's what we're mainly here to hear. So Jinsun is a PhD candidate in the School of Vehicles and Mobility in Tsinghua University and a predoctoral research fellow at the Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs at the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. His research interests are in the sustainability of critical materials and energy technologies. He is a co-author of 24 peer-reviewed papers in journals including Joule, Environmental Science and Technology, iScience, etc. His papers have been cited 603 times by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, European Commission, British Geological Survey, Australian Department of Industry, and in numerous professional journals, with an H index of 12 and over 12,000 reads on ResearchGate. He has been awarded the Tianyi Environment Grand Prize, Global Change Future Scholar, and first prize of Graduate Student Scholarship of Tsinghua University, among other awards. So thank you, Jinsun, for being with us today. We're really excited to hear your talk. I think it's on a very underrated but important topic about battery sustainability and the critical materials for them. And with that, I'll let you share your screen and present, and then we'll take questions at the end from the audience. Cheers.
Okay, yeah, let's begin. Okay. Okay, hello everyone. Yeah, nice to meet you on the night for me and on the afternoon for you. Yeah, welcome to join my presentation today. Yeah, so today my topic is the critical materials and battery sustainability. So I'm Jinsun from the Tsinghua University. Well, I know that today our focus should be on the lithium battery, but I think first I need to introduce to you about some acknowledgement of the critical material, because it's also a very important perspective for the battery sustainability. The critical material concept is developed from the Second World War. At that time, the US military want to identify which kind of raw material is the most important thing for them. So they developed such concept to quantify the criticality of the raw materials. The criticality at that time consists of two dimensions. One is the supply risk, another is the impact of supply disruption. So you can, so the supply risk is the possibility of supply disruption, and with the impact of supply disruption, so you can quantify if this material is important for you. The indicator we use to quantify the possibility and the impact include many sub-indicators, including the price volatility, the reserve, and the demand, and the market price, and something others. Sometimes the criticality is a relative concept, which means that if we need to identify which kind of system we are talking about. The system could be one product, one company, or one technology. So today, our focus is the battery. So our target system would be the climate change and the energy transition, because the lithium battery is the most important component for the energy transition and the climate change. It is used both in the electric vehicle for being its power source, and also as the stationary energy storage for the wind power and the solar power. So for these representative energy technologies, the lithium battery is the most important product. And the lithium battery is consisted of many critical materials. The most important part for the lithium battery is its cathode material. It is accounting for the largest share of the lithium battery cost, and also it determines the performance of lithium battery. And for its cathode material, there are 5 major types of the cathode material, including the lithium cobalt oxide, the NCM, the LFP, and the LMO, and some others. So for all of these cathode materials, the lithium, the nickel, cobalt, manganese, they are sometimes could be the essential materials for manufacturing this cathode material. So these materials are determine the sustainability and the product performance of lithium battery. And also, not only that these materials are important for the battery, but also the battery is important for these materials, especially for the lithium and the cobalt. For the lithium battery in the year of 2021 is accounting for over 70% of lithium consumption globally. And for the cobalt, it is accounting for over 60% of its consumption market. For the nickel and the manganese, the lithium battery is not accounting for a significant share of its consumption, but still it's a lot. For nickel, it's 7%. So and also we all know that actually currently the lithium battery market and also the electric vehicle market is just at the starting point of future development. In the future, almost all the vehicle will be electrified power. So it means they will all use the lithium battery, at least for a certain period. So it means that the consumption, the share of battery in this material consumption structure will be larger and larger. While it's not a good news that these materials could determine the sustainability of battery, because that there are many unsustainable issues embodied in these materials market. We already know the consequences now. From the year of 2021 until now, the lithium price has been experiencing a very significant surge. From the $6,000 for 1 ton lithium to $78,000 at the beginning of the 2022. So it makes that the lithium battery cost increase for the first time after it has decreased for about 30 years. So it hurts the competitive power of the electric vehicle and also hurts the energy transition rate. So you see that it's just one of the consequences of the unsustainable issue embodied in the critical material market. If in the future, these unsustainable issues still exist, it means that we will experience such surging price again and again. And it is very hurtful to our future low carbon society. So we must solve this problem. And to solve these problems, we must establish a clear logic system how to solve them. Well, we need to first we need to know that the reason for battery is important is that the climate change is important. It is one of the most significant crises for entire society. And to solve the climate change issue, we need the energy transition. And for the energy transition, we need the battery to power the electric vehicle and also to support the renewable energy supply. And the battery needs the critical materials. So for all of these 4 links, well, it's actually not essential. For some links, the relationship could disappear. So we need to think about that if we want to establish a sustainable and low carbon society in the future, if we still need these critical material. And if the answer is yes, how we could solve the unsustainable issues embodied in the critical material market. Then I want to show you some examples for the sustainability issues in these materials. Firstly, that I think that most of you know the supply concentration of this material is very high. For the lithium and cobalt, the major 3 countries could accounting for over 80 or even 90% of its global supply. And also another bad news is that the supply concentration is increasing. In the past, I mean, the top 3 countries is just accounting for about 50% of lithium supply. But now, in the year of 2021, they are accounting for 75%. And for the cobalt, only the one country, DRC, is the most important country for cobalt supply. And its supply share is keeping increasing because the reserve, the oil grade in the DRC, the DR Congo, is the highest. So it means that if you want to extract the cobalt from the earth, you must choose the DRC as the supply source because it's cheaper. So to hold the market power, so you must choose the DR Congo as your supply source. So you can see that all the additional investment in the cobalt supply happened in the DRC in the past 25 years. So its supply share increased from about 20% to 65% now. For the nickel and manganese, its supply concentration is not so high as lithium and cobalt does, but still the concentration is increasing. So it's not a good signal. And it's the supply concentration not just happened in the upstream mineral mining stage, it's also happened in the entire supply chain. I mean, you can see that it's the global supply chain structure for the entire lithium battery and its critical material supply chain. On the upstream, the top 3 countries could accounting for over the 80% of the supply share. But in the middle stream and downstream, China, Japan, and Korea, they are accounting for over 90% or even 95%. Sometimes it's 100% of the supply. So you can see that especially for the cathode material, almost all the cathode material is manufactured in the China, Japan, and Korea. For all the other countries, including the Europe and the America, they do not have the capacity to manufacture such materials now. But they are already trying to invest in the new capacity of cathode material manufacturing. But I mean, until now, they didn't succeed yet. And for the lithium and battery, also the China is accounting for over 70% of the supply capacity. So while the supply concentration sometimes means the trade concentration, because the supply is concentrated in a few countries. And generally, these countries are not the major consuming countries. So it means that the international trade is concentrated in a few group of countries. For the lithium, the Australia and Chile, they are the major supplier, and they export almost all of their raw materials to China for the further refining and to manufacture the cathode material and battery. And then China will export the battery products, including the electric vehicles, the phones, the laptops, to all the other countries. So the entire supply structure of the lithium is just like a tree. I mean, the Chile and Australia is the bottom of the tree, and China is a major part of the tree. And for the other countries, they are the animals and the chiefs staying on the tree. For the cobalt, it's very similar with the lithium supply structure. Also, the DR Congo export all of his cobalt mineral to China, and then China refine it and manufacture it into some super alloys and batteries and export it to the entire world. So the international trade is also very concentrated. Another sustainability issues for the critical material is that the environmental impact from the mining and refining is very bad, especially for these critical materials. We need to compare these energy materials with the traditional materials, including the iron, steel, and aluminum. You can see that for the cobalt and lithium mining, there's carbon emission in the mining stage is much higher than the iron and steel. And that is the reason that sometimes if we want to do a life cycle calculation for the electric vehicle, you can see that its carbon emission could be higher than the ICEV, the internal combustion engine vehicle. It is because that on the manufacturing stage, the battery manufacturer is accounting for a very significant share of the carbon emission. And the reason is the carbon emission from the lithium and the cobalt and nickel mining. So that is, we want to decarbon the vehicle industry, right? But actually, sometimes you are increase it because that the material is not very clean. And also another negative environmental impact from the critical material mining is that the water use. For the lithium and the rare earth metal, which is also used in the electric vehicle and the wind power, because it's an essential metal for the electric motor. Their water use intensity is much higher than the other materials. You can see that the water use intensity for the lithium and rare earth is 1 kilometer per kilogram, but for others it's 0.1. It means that they are 10 times larger than the other materials. And for the water pollution, it is also about 10 times or even 100 times higher than of the lithium mining than the mining of the other materials. So it's very bad. And also, these water use didn't take the water evaporation losses into account, because sometimes for the lithium mining, you extract the lithium from the brine. And for the brine, you are not just use the water in the process. You also need to evaporate it, the water embodied in the brine, and it is lost into the natural environment. It's not recycled, so the water is lost. Just we don't use it, but still it's kind of the loss. And also another bad news is that the major lithium supply country is the Chile and Argentina, and they are in the extremely high water stress region. It means that they are lack of water, but still you need to use much water in the mining processes. It means that you are making the water stress very serious in the future, because we will need much more lithium in the future. So how these governments and also how we need to solve this water use issue, we need to think about that. Another negative impact is that the social impact from the cobalt mining. In the DR Congo, it's a long existing issues of the cobalt mining. It is classified into the conflict mineral for the cobalt in DRC, because in that country, some people force the labor, force the children and the women to mine the cobalt from the underground, while these mines do not have the essential essential safety protection equipment, and they will lose their lives to mine this cobalt. But they do not have other choices, because the cobalt is, not just cobalt, the mineral is the only thing they can make some money in that country. So either you mine the cobalt or either you die. So they do it for surviving, but still it's very bad. So we need to think about how to solve these materials. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. Another unsustainable issue is that the recycling. We all know that, I think currently, we all know that the recycling is a very good thing for the material use, but nobody is doing that. For the lithium recycling, the recycling rate of it before the year of 2021 is about 0. Nobody is recycling lithium from the lithium battery. Even we all know it's very important for saving the resource and for protecting the environment, because that the carbon emission from the secondary lithium is much lower than the primary lithium. But still, nobody is doing that because it's not profitable. Lithium price is cheap before the year of 2021, and the process you want to extract the lithium from the battery is much complicated than you extract the other material from battery. There are 3 ways to recycling the battery: the pyrometallurgy, the hydrometallurgy, and the direct recycling. And the pyrometallurgy and the direct recycling are the only 2 methods to extract lithium from the battery. But if you want to extract lithium, you need to have an additional process for it, because both for the pyrometallurgy and the hydrometallurgy, you just use the high temperature to heat the battery, and then you can get the cobalt and the nickel. But for lithium, you must use some salt or some acid to extract the lithium. So the additional processes will increase the cost, and also lithium is cheaper, much cheaper than the cobalt and nickel. So nobody is recycling it. The recycling rate for lithium is about 50% in 2021. It is because that, as I said, the lithium price has been experiencing a very significant surge in that year. But it's not sustainable, because that the price will going down in some day. I already proved that. So still, the lithium, from the long-term perspective, the lithium is cheap. So how we could extract a cheap material in a low-cost way? We need to think about that. Another unsustainable issue is the byproduct issue. Is that it's sometimes for this critical material, they are not mined from their from their mineral product. They are mined from the other material product, especially for the cobalt. I mean, 65% of cobalt is mined from the copper, and for the other 65%, they are mined from the nickel mining product. So it means that sometimes the cobalt supply is determined by the host metal supply. The host metal is copper and nickel for cobalt. So even the cobalt is facing a shortage of supply, still the cobalt supply maybe not increase, because that the host metals market is relatively stable. So the price will not increase. So it's another potential risk for the sustainable supply of the cobalt. And for the lithium, sometimes it's mined, it's a byproduct mined from the sodium and from the manganese, the magnesium. So we need to think about that, how we could deal with the byproduct relationship between the critical energy material and the host conventional material. And another sustainable issue is that sometimes we think that Australia and Chile, they are the major supplying countries for the lithium. Yes, it is true, but actually the companies who are doing the mining work is not the Australian or Chilean companies. They are from the China and the United States. So you see that sometimes the local government could not determine the policy. I mean, they can determine that, but the mining countries maybe not do that, follow the policies, because they are from the China and the United States. So the giant company has a certain control on the critical material supply. And for these countries, they are just thinking about money. So they will not following the international trade regulation or some other local regulation, because I mean, they are giant capital. Maybe it's not a very common case, but still we need to prepare for that happen. And especially for the cobalt, 90% of the cobalt mining in DRC is not the DRC companies. They are all from the other countries, especially the Glencore. It is controlling a very significant share of the DRC cobalt mining, and it is from Switzerland. Maybe DR Congo will not listen to the Switzerland, but still it sometimes will not listen to the DR Congo. Yeah. So I already show you that the sustainability issues in this critical material market. So we need to think about how to solve this. And not only just for now, I mean, we need to think about for the next 30 to 50 years, because carbon neutrality transition, it will be a very long-term transition action. So in the future, we will need maybe more critical materials and maybe more technologies. And still, we need to face these unsustainable issues. So we need to think about that. With the evolution of the clean energy technology, how could we deal with the critical material intensive sustainable issues? And now I want to show you that in the future, how many uncertainties we will face. So the first one is that how many vehicles will be on the road. The vehicle ownership rate in the developed countries is already unchanged for a very long period. But for China and for Africa, for these developing countries, they are still growing. But here comes the question that how many vehicles will be on the road when they are already the developed countries? You can see that the American is the developed countries. Korea, Japan, they are developed countries, and also Europe, they are developed countries. But still, the vehicle ownership rate in these countries have a very different performance. For the American, for the North America, the car ownership rate in these countries are about 700 to 800, and for the Japan and Korea, the vehicle ownership rate is about 500 vehicles for 1,000 people. In China, now we have 200 vehicles for 1,000 people. And it is still growing. But here comes the question that how many vehicles we will have in the future when we are already a developed country? It will be the 400 or 500 or 600, who knows that? So the different population, the economic scale, and the lifestyle determine these numbers. So we need to think about the scientific rules behind these numbers. And now we can think about that. We can make a more stable prediction for the future vehicle system control. And actually, the left figure is a prediction result of my lab, but actually, based on the current global vehicle market, we think that maybe we are wrong, because we think in the future there is still very great potential in the vehicle market in the developing countries. But actually, you see that the global vehicle sales is already decreasing. Even the economy in the developing countries is still increasing, but the total vehicle sales is declining. So why? We need to think about that. Another uncertainty comes from the different electric vehicle penetration in different countries. In China and Europe, the vehicle penetration rate is the highest. It is because that our significant policy support. While in the United States and other countries, maybe it is because that their policy is not so strong. But still, if the same policy will have the same performance in these countries, I don't think so. We need to think about what kind of policy is more suitable for different countries, and what causes different for this for the electric vehicle penetration, and what kind of lessons we could learn from the China and Europe to accelerate the electrification transition in the other countries. And also, actually, one major reason for the great electric vehicle penetration rate in China is that the smallest vehicle market. I mean, in China, the sales champion for the electric vehicle is the smallest one with the smallest vehicle model, which is the Wuling Hongguang Mini. Well, its sales reached about 500,000 in the past year, and it is very cheap, which is from the $3,000 to $5,000 for one vehicle. And for the second and third sales champion, they are the most expensive vehicle model. So you can see that the cheapest one and the most expensive one, they sold the most. So we need to think about the reason. If the poor people and the rich people, they like to buy the electric vehicle, and how could we accelerate the middle income people to buy the electric vehicle? And here is some photos for our champion in the past year. They are the Wuling Hongguang. You can see it's a very, very small vehicle. The battery capacity is just 10 kilowatt hour, but still it sold the most. It's very popular especially in the rural region in China. And another incentive comes from that the battery capacity requirement in the electric vehicle, because we want to calculate the critical material demand. So we must know that how many electric vehicles will be on the road in the future, and what kind of battery they will use, and also how huge the battery will be. Well, the battery capacity in the single vehicle is keeping increasing in the past period. Globally, it increased from the 30 kilowatt hour to 50 kilowatt hour. The reason is that it still didn't meet the requirement of the most people, the range requirement. But here comes the question of how large it should be. I mean, it should be. I know that 50 kilowatt hour is not enough, but if the 80 kilowatt hour will be enough, or 100 will be enough, we need to calculate that. And the factor to determine the battery capacity is that the energy consumption rate. In the 2021 globally, the electric vehicle will consume 15 kilowatt hour for 100 kilometer driving, and due to the light weighting, maybe the number will decrease, but also due to the automation and the auto driving system, the evolution, the energy consumption rate may be increased. So what will be the number in the future? I mean, we need to build a model to calculate that. And another thing to determine the battery capacity in vehicle is the energy supported method. Here is the research results. It's not mine. It's from the previous literature. You can see that actually we do not need such a huge battery installed in the car, because that, I mean, for 100 kilowatt hour vehicle, I mean, you can drive it from the Salt Lake City to Denver, and it will cost you 8 hours. But still, you may use a 45 kilowatt hour small car, and you can still use 8 hours to drive from Salt Lake to Denver. The difference is that you may charge more times during the driving. Some people will like that kind of model because it's the extreme charging model. So I mean, the charging time is not very long, but you need to charge 4 times. And if you are using a common charging model, I mean, you need to wait about 30 minutes. Well, some people will like this way. They just want to charge 1 time. Maybe it will be longer, but still they like it. But some people will like charge more times and take a short break during the driving. It's just the different people choice. But we need to think about that. What most people will like, what kind of model they will like. And if we can use a small battery to meet the range requirement of consumers. So we do not need so many materials in the future. And another uncertainty comes from the battery technology, evolution. Currently, we have 5 major types of the cathode material, and their performance in different dimensions is different. For the NCM and FP, they are the most popular cathode material. And for the NCM, they have the highest energy density, but the safety and the cost is not so good. And for the FP, some people will like that because it's cheaper and the safety is very good, but the energy density is not enough. So sometimes you need to drive more time. I mean, you need to charge more times. In the future, there are more types of the cathode material, and for the entire battery system, we will the solid state battery will get into the commercialization use in about 10 years, and that at that moment we can use the silicon as the anode material, and also for the solid electrolyte, we will have much more choices, and also for the cathode material, we may use the lithium-rich cathode, not the NCM anymore. So, and also the material intensity, the material content in this cathode material is very different. So it will cause that the material demand in the future will face a very huge uncertainty. So how could we solve this? How could we solve this uncertainty? And what is the best battery technology from the sustainability perspective? We need to think about that. And also beyond the lithium battery, we will have the much more metal-based battery, including the sodium-ion battery, the magnesium-ion battery, the zinc-ion battery, and aluminum-ion battery. And this material may not use the lithium and cobalt and nickel, but they will use other materials. So it will increase the uncertainty in the future battery technology. And if these materials will be sustainable for the entire human society, we need to quantify that, build a model to assess that. Well, the final slide is about the lithium reserve. Here is a question that I have always been asked when I was trying to give you some information about the critical material, because I mean, it's a common sense that if you hear that the battery will use some critical mineral, so the first question come to you will be that if we will have the sufficient reserve to support the future huge demand of these minerals. Well, my answer have never changed. The answer is always yes, we have sufficient reserve for future demand. Even I already showed that there are many uncertainties in the future battery requirement and the future electric vehicle transition. Still, the reserve will sufficient for any scenario because that the reserve amount is much more beyond our imagination. Currently, the reserve is 22 million tons for the lithium, and you can see that it keeps increasing in the past 20 years. And the reason for the increase is that the demand is increasing. You consume more minerals, I mean, the price will be higher. So it will accelerate the mineral companies and the government to explore the new reserve. So the total reserve embodied in the earth is very huge. It's much more beyond our imagination. The identified lithium resource in the year of 2021 is 89 million tons. It is enough for manufacturing about 9 billion vehicles, while the total the total vehicle amount on the road is 1.5 billion. So you can see that it can create another 6 new world more. And still, we will have many lithium in the seawater. And the amount for that is 230,000 million. I didn't write it wrong. I mean, it's over 1,000 or even 10,000 times larger than the current reserve. So you can see that we have enough lithium reserve. So the question is not to worry about if the lithium is enough. The question we need to worry about, the problem we need to worry about is that if we can extract and use the lithium sustainably, and how we can create a sustainable battery system, and how if we still must use the lithium in the battery, how we can solve all the many unsustainable issues in the lithium supply chain. Yeah, that is the question all of us need to make an effort on in the future many years, because that is our system in our society in the future. Yeah. Okay, that is the information I want to present to you. And any question is welcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jin-san. That was a really great talk, and I think exactly the kind of talk that we were looking for to kind of identify the challenges in the field and also the questions that we need to be asking ourselves. I liked how you constantly kind of posed the questions and the things we need to be thinking about. That was really great. So I think we'll take some questions from both the audience online and offline. I think if the audience can just comment their questions, that would be great. I'm sorry, I think I've switched. And then we'll also, we'll start in person here to see while people type their questions online. All right, any questions from the crowd here? So you can try to speak through this, and if it doesn't hear, then I'll repeat your question.
I'm curious about the greenhouse gas emissions for a few materials that you showed, and how that makes it comparable to internal combustion vehicles. I'm just wondering, I think the majority of the cost there was, I don't know if you can change the slides to that.
Yeah, I think it was slide 11, right? The one where.
Sure.
Yeah, Jin-san, do you mind going to slide 11?
Sorry?
Slide 11?
11, okay.
Because I think I also had a question about that as well.
Yeah.
This was about this, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So where do these greenhouse gas emissions come from? Is it because like electricity comes from coal plants, or what's the? Basically, I'm interested in what's the limit, right? How green can we make this?
Did you hear the question, Jin-san, or would you like me to repeat?
I think you need to repeat it. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
their
hear it.
question is, where is the main in the processing for example, for cobalt, the carbon dioxide footprint, where is that mainly coming from, and how green can we make it? What are the solutions to make it greener, or less carbon intensive?
Okay, I see. Okay. Well, actually, the process is not very different from mine the cobalt. I mean, the cobalt mining process is not very different from the iron mining. The reason that the carbon emission is such high because that it just consumes much more energy. I mean, the total process for you to mine the cobalt from the rock is just very similar with you mine the iron from the rock, but still the iron content in the earth is much higher than the cobalt, because it makes sense, right? Because the iron is the most commonly used metal in the world. It's the reason is that the iron content in the earth is the highest, while cobalt is not such a highest. So if you want to concentrate the cobalt in a certain amount and extract it into the chemicals, you need to consume much more energy because you need to burn much more rocks. Then you can get the cobalt you want, right? So for 1 kilogram cobalt, you need to consume about 3 to 4 times much more energy than you mine the iron. So that is why we need to it causes so many carbon emission. Well, the way to decarbonation the cobalt and also it's very similar. It's similar with the decarbonation of the iron industry, but not totally the same. The reason is that sometimes you need the carbon to extract the iron into the steel, but for cobalt you will not need to do that. So for the cobalt mining, if you want to decarbonize it, you just need to change the energy source from the dirty electricity to the clean electricity. I mean, from the electricity should be from the wind and solar, and also it consumes much more heat. It's not just the electricity. You need to consume much more heat to burn that, to increase the temperature. And for that, it's hard to change the supply source because that now there is not a very clean fuel now. I mean, the zero carbon fuel is not well developed. Even it is, still the cost will be very high, right? I think you know that. So to try to use such low carbon fuel in the mining industry is very hard because they are very sensitive to the cost. I mean, because that almost all the costs are from the energy consumption and also the capital cost, yes. So for the operating cost, the energy cost is accounting for a very significant share. So that is a very hard problem, yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other
And
questions?
I think that maybe the hydrogen could be a potential solution, but now it's still not very feasible.
Yeah.
And maybe a follow up on this one. So Shenzhen showed that we can also extract lithium from the oceans. I was wondering if there are already existing technologies which do that, or if that's the future.
So Tristan has asked if there's already existing technologies to extract, for example, lithium from the seabed.
Yes, the technology already exists. Yeah, but the problem is that the cost is not acceptable. Currently, the cost of the lithium mining from the seawater is over 20 times larger, at least 20 times larger, compared to the lithium mine from the brine. So it's not necessary. Well, just like I said, actually, one significant problem from the seawater mining is the cost. Another is that the marine pollution. I mean, it's also a very unsustainable issue. So my suggestion is always that we need to think about how to make full use of the current reserve on the earth, not in the seawater. I mean, still, even just we only consider about the lithium reserve in the earth is already enough for our future demand. If just we can regulate the battery technology and regulate the vehicle market very well, we do not need to mine the lithium from seawater. Well, from the academic perspective, yes, of course, you can try to invest in such technology, but I'm not going to recommend to use it in a large scale, in large scale in the future. It's not very essential.
Yeah, because it seems to me that we keep trying to solve a problem by creating another one. You know, like even with this carbon dioxide footprint, I had no idea that these error bars could reach really like when you do a lifetime analysis, that electrical vehicles could have just as much of a footprint as internal combustion engine vehicles. It's crazy. But it's interesting. It's the first time I hear that you're right. We have enough reserves on land. Why should we be going to the sea and creating a whole new problem? I have a question about the on-land mining, on what your thoughts are on the issues revolving particularly around the DRC, and how you think things there can be alleviated and improved and made more sustainable, both on the social and the environmental factors.
Okay, yeah. It's a very good problem. Well, actually, that is a thing that many countries that are already trying to do so. But actually, you can. It's a very interesting story that the different countries to solve that problem is very different. I mean, for the Europe and America, and especially the United Union, the way they trying to solve the negative social impact in cobalt mining is that they refuse to buy the cobalt mine from the DRC. But in China, well, also I also don't think that it's a very good way, because the people there, they need the money. I mean, in the DR Congo, they do not have the other industry. the mineral industry is a very significant part for their economic income. So I mean, we can just not shut down all the trade. It's also not sustainable because the people there they need to survive, right? They need the money. So I think that the thing that China is trying to do is that try to build a regulation platform and also to make to sign some contract when they are trying to buy the cobalt mine from DR Congo. You must admit that this cobalt is not mined from the children labor, from the women labor. You must promise that they are. I mean, you mine in a sustainable way. I think that is a very good way to do that. I mean, still we need the DR Congo because the cobalt reserve is just so good. I mean, we also need a very low cost battery, right? If we trying to, I mean, explore the reserve in the other country, the cobalt mining cost will be higher, and it means that the battery cost will be higher. It's harmful to the electric vehicle transition. So we need the low cost cobalt, but we must mine it in a certain way. Well, sometimes it will also increase the cost. I know it, but still, we need to protect the employment rate in the DR Congo is still a very significant thing we need to do. So I mean, China now is trying to do that. We refuse the artisanal and small scale mining in the DR Congo. We must to try to make a traceable supply chain platform and to see that which kind of the cobalt you are using and what supply source you have, and then to try to do it in a sustainable way. Still, I mean, we need the cobalt from DRC, but just a more sustainable one. Yeah, that is.
Did you not say that like the biggest company operating in Congo was from Switzerland? This was a Swiss company.
Yeah,
did you show on that graph? So
yes.
So I guess is Switzerland, but Switzerland you said is part of Europe. You would say that they're also refusing cobalt from the DRC, but they have a Swiss company operating there.
While not the entire Europe is refusing the DR cobalt, because also and Switzerland is not importing the cobalt. I mean, it's the Swiss company. The Glencore is a Swiss company. They are doing the cobalt mining, but actually they just sold the cobalt minerals to China. So they just earn the money. So yeah, now the companies who are refusing the cobalt from DRC is the Volkswagen and also the Audi companies, the giant vehicle companies. They promise that they will not buy the cobalt from the DRC.
So where are they getting their cobalt from?
They get it from the Morocco.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's another country that also has a significant cobalt reserve. And also, the way they do it is not because the Volkswagen didn't buy cobalt. Actually, they buy the battery, and they require that the battery supplier must provide a list of their suppliers, the upstream suppliers. So you must promise that the DRC will not on the battery suppliers list.
I see.
Yeah, that is the way they are doing that. But also, I don't think that it's a good way. Just you cannot just put the entire country in the blacklist. You need to put the bad guys in the blacklist.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Any other questions from the crowd? None? I need to look at the comments. If not, I have some more. Any comments on the chat? How do I see the? Yeah, I don't think there are any comments in the chat. I wanted to ask, you touched upon any other questions from the crowd? All right. You touched upon the battery storage substitution with batteries on one slide when you're talking about the challenge of climate change, energy transition. And I wanted to hear what your thoughts were on what roles batteries can play in energy storage, what applications you think it's most suitable for, what we currently use it for already, and what you think how it will develop in the future. Because as far as I know, it's mainly just for, small daily household kind of battery storage, right? And are there other ways in which you'll see batteries being used for energy storage substitution? Because that's a big challenge in the energy transition.
Yes. Well, I think that I mean there is no perfect substitution for the battery. I mean there are many equipment that could be used for the energy storage, but I think the battery is the most perfect type. I mean, based on the current findings. from my perspective, the battery will be the most important component in the entire system, because that the energy transition is just to change the car from the ICE to the EV, or just to change the fossil fuel electricity power, to the wind power. Everything will be electrified power in the future, because that then you can if everything is electrified power, then we can control the electricity source. And then if the electricity source is clean and sustainable, so the entire society will be sustainable. Now it's just that many fossil fuel is not just used in the electricity, they are directly used in the industry. It's not sustainable. So I mean, in the future, if we are getting into a 100% electrification strategy, I think a battery is the perfect solution in most cases. It's not for all the cases, because the long-term storage all kinds of battery is not very, the performance is not very well. We may need the hydrogen and also the hydropower, and also we need the nuclear power to directly to output the electricity. But battery will be a solution in many cases, because in the future society, in most scenario, we will need a distributed battery, distributed energy storage, and the battery will be the perfect solution for the distributed energy storage. For the concentrated one, if you do not consider about the factor about the weight requirement, or maybe the volume requirement, you can use a hydrogen and you can build maybe a very big hydropower plant. But for the household, for the vehicle, and for many distributed energy supply scenario, battery is the most perfect one. But for the battery, maybe the lithium battery is not the final type of the battery. Maybe the sodium battery is because that the lithium it should be mined from the brine and the minerals. From the minerals, it consumes much more energy, and from the brine, it will cause the evaporation losses in the Chile. It's not sustainable, and I think that currently we didn't find a very good way to solve this problem. So maybe in the future we will consider about to try to improve the sodium-ion battery and to substitute it. And also sometimes the answer is not 0 or 1. Maybe lithium is not the perfect one, but it is suitable for some cases. So we will face in the future, we may live in a world that we are considered the entire world is consisted of many types of batteries: the sodium battery, the manganese battery, and the lithium battery. And also the system maybe not the same in the different countries, because different countries have their own cultural background, the industry background. And I think that in the America and Europe, maybe hydrogen share for the energy storage will be higher. But in China, because we are lack of the natural gas, we are lack of the oil, we only have the coal, but we can't use the coal. So battery may be a better solution for us. So the answer is different. So that is the most interesting part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think I have any questions, because I have one last very dumb question. So we say that batteries aren't good for long-term storage, right? But my question is why? Because intuitively, for example, when you buy a battery from the supermarket to put in your remote control or something, that battery, you can have it in its packet sitting there for a year, 2 years. Is it about like when we talk long-term, we're talking that we also need large scale and then it's not profitable at scale? What do we mean when we say that batteries aren't suitable for long-term? That's my question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the long term is that sometimes we need to consider the signal. I mean, because that if you just, for example, the reason we use the battery, that we must use the power, I mean, embodied in the battery, right? And if you just put the battery here, I mean, no more than 3 months, the electricity in the battery will be losses. I mean, naturally. So yeah, so you need to charge it again and again. And also another reason is that the point you mentioned, the safety issues is other concern. One, it is getting into communication use in a large scale, because that the battery. Okay, I think that sorry, I need to think about how to say it. I mean, to let you can understand it easily. The battery power transition is like it has the cathode and anode, right? So the iron will be stored when you are charged it. The iron will be storage in the anode side, and the more iron stay in the one side, the more unstable it will be, because there, I mean, a stable status is that the iron is distributed equally, both in the cathode side and also the anode side. So if it is stay just on one side, it's not stable. It will cause fire. But still, we do not even know that actually what causes fire. I mean, sometimes the lithium battery will burn itself naturally. We don't have the solution to solve it from the engineering perspective, but from the scientific perspective, we did not find the rule behind the natural burn. So yeah, so that is the reason we need to. That is the thing we need to face. So just like what I said, if we make a very big battery storage to try to storage the energy, and all the iron will be on the same side, it's not stable. And also sometimes safety is not a thing that we can discuss. Safety is a 0 or 1 issue in many countries, especially in China. It's just that it will never happen. The safety issue will not happen. Definitely never happen, and also it will happen often. I mean, it is not acceptable in China. So it will need to be 100% safe. So that is what I said. That it's not suitable for long-term and large-scale storage.
Very cool, very informative. I didn't know this. This is very useful for all I think everyone to know. I don't know. I'm very interested in this. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I think we're finishing right on the dot. Can we just have another round of applause for Jin Sun? I think it was a really great talk. And I think you tackled many important questions and really highlighted things that we should be thinking about when we think about the general energy transition.